Hey guys, hope you're having a wonderful day. It is absolutely beautiful here in the Pacific Northwest. Really excited to get outside, but I'm also really excited to talk about these coronavirus tickers. So again, we're going to reiterate a couple of facts. One, the strength of the coronavirus tickers is directly related to fear. As long as fear remains stable, as in we get used to bad news, we're going to see continued weakness in these names. And that is why we had until now has been a relatively good inverse correlation to SPY. We still see a red day on SPY and we're seeing a red day on these tickers. So that means that the market fear that we're seeing here is not translating in the same way as it has been for the last week. We're normalizing our coronavirus fears, so our coronavirus names are still going to be seeing some red, even though the market is seeing red, because today's red is tied more to oil prices and geopolitical instability rather than market fears due to coronavirus, if that makes any sense. There's a lot of elements at play here, but we can see how different factors are impacting things in different ways. So let's go take a look at some of our names. We're going to start with APT. APT had a pretty big red day today. We knocked out a key support at 1412 and we saw a big dip. So if we go look at a 5-minute time frame, we're going to check out a couple of things. First of all, we see a key loss of this 1412 level. That was that low that we were holding. We had multiple touches in the area of 1412. 1420 was a key support. Even through pre-market, we see just slightly higher lows, and then we open, we dump, we break 1412, we drop, we get a significant bounce. Now the importance is the timing of this bounce. If we look at APT's low, it's at the candlestick at 7:05 a.m. If we jump back to SPY and we check out the 5-minute time frame, the initial strength in SPY peaked at 7:05 a.m. So we had that inverse correlation out of the gate. We saw a lot of strength on SPY. We saw the APT see a big dump after losing that 1412. We hit that bottom, and as we hit that bottom, that strength in the market caused the APT sellers to be a little bit afraid. Now, as soon as we started to see a little bit of weakness and pullback, the APT bulls jumped right back in here and really gave this a solid, significant bounce. That's $3.40 in about 15 minutes, not insubstantial. So a good quality bounce right up against EMA 12. Then as the market settled and it looked like we weren't going to see a straight drop in the early morning, APT sort of settled out and closed with a red candlestick. So we have a couple things going on here. We've lost a key support level. We are now looking for more downside, and we have a low of day from today acting as our only major support in the area. Below that, we can look for support in the area of 470. On the 4-hour time frame, we see that we are in a pretty solid 4-hour downtrend now. So anything underneath the last high attempt at our pre-market level of 1630 is going to be a 4-hour lower high. So that is what we are watching, that range. Do we stay inside a 4-hour downtrend? And we do have a little bit of 4-hour support here. I didn't see this guy tucked in at 920. If we go to the hourly time frame, there's that big beautiful hourly downtrend in place. A little bit of a drop, almost a descending scallop pattern, and that is a pattern where the price drops so quickly. Bulls have a little bit of a rest before it resumes that trend to the downside. Really, it'll just look like a continuation of this hourly downtrend. Key supports, APT, 1009, 920, and 470. Bulls need to get back over 1630 or establish a lower high, higher low, and break that level to change the hourly trend. LAKE had a similar story today. Big red candlestick. We lost a couple of key supports. So first of all, we lost this area of support that has been historically in the last few days a good support level, 1652. But most importantly, we smashed through 1566, which has been a triple bottom area of support that we needed to rely on. And it looks like that's failed us today. Not a lot of strength on the dip buy, but the volume here is pretty insignificant. It is decreasing over time, but a move of this magnitude, I would have liked to see more volumes to confirm that sort of drop. If we go to the 4-hour time frame, you can see that we are in a little bit of 4-hour volatility. We had this high. Now we are resuming that 4-hour downtrend. Our next support on 4-hour is 1365. And on the hourly trend, we're going to ignore this little guy up here, which is going to change our perception of the 4-hour chart, by the way. We are going to be looking for an hourly downtrend and looking for a low to be set near this base of support at, let's call it 14 psychological. Anything underneath our high of, what is our high? About 17 is going to be a lower high, and we're going to expect hourly downside to continue. We are looking at a little tiny oversold bounce at the hourly time frame right now, but no significant follow through at all. Pretty weak, and bears are in control on LAKE. CODX also saw a big red day today. We saw rejection from our historical support, 1356. We got up to 1350 before we saw a pretty big pullback, and bears are definitely in control of this candlestick. The problem we're getting into now is we don't have any support. We can go all the way down on the daily time frame into the 250s before we find support. And in fact, let's go carve that out. 270 is the next support. From our price levels, we have EMA support currently sitting at $8 psychological. If we go to the 4-hour time frame, a solid 4-hour downtrend, no strength in sight. Hourly downtrend is beautiful, lower highs, lower lows, exactly what we need to see. We saw some oversold conditions without any substantial follow through for a bounce, and on the 15-minute time frame, bears are in control of this also. So there's a lot of work to do to change the trends on these guys, and unfortunately, it's going to require a lot of bad news and increasing and escalating bad news generation to start to move some of these names to the upside. VIR on the daily time frame opened strong, really weak. We had a bearish engulfing candlestick, and that has engulfed the last 3 days of trading action. The only sign of strength that we have is a bounce off of the March 3rd low, which was 36.08, and today's double bottom 36.08 and a little bit of a dip buy. If we lose 36.08, then we have no daily support until our low at 1609, way over here. So that'd be a big drop. Likely going to face some oversold conditions, but our downtrends are pretty much for the bears. The only hope the bulls have is to defend that 3608. They really need to do it in a big way right now. And so far, I'm not seeing any real substantial strength on the part of the bulls. 4-hour, we're trading sideways. On the hourly time frame, there's that range, that volatility. It just peaked over top of that resistance and it just got slapped right back down. So we need to focus really closely on what's happening in this time frame. We don't get a lot of pre-market data. Hopefully we open in this range, in which case I would look for a high of 40.81 to be our initial resistance, and the ever important support 36.08. I would be looking for one of those ranges to break. Check your 5-minute time frames early in the morning and see what the most likely setup is. NBAX on the daily time frame, another big red candlestick knocking out some key levels from the last couple of days. EMA 26 has held. Low of day is going to be our major support. Relatively low volume again. Looks like earnings are coming up on March 11th, so keep a close eye on that. You want to validate those time frames. On the 4-hour time frame, a little bit of choppiness. We lost this 4-hour higher high and higher low, so possibly looking at a 4-hour come on, you can do it, change of trend. So anything under $15 is going to be a lower high on the 4-hour time frame, in which case we're going to look for trend change into the downside with a break of 960. Hourly time frame doing its best to hold what so far appears to be a bear flag formation. If we lose that, then we're going to look for a break of 960 and getting into hourly oversold conditions. Our next major area of support on the hourly is down here at 770, which is going to be an important 4-hour level as well. That's it for today, guys. I hope you're having some success trading some of these names. I know a lot of our members have been trading them, watching them, and just being very, very cautious, because we all understand how these markets are tied to fear, and without the fear to back those up, we got to be playing very, very cautiously and protecting our capital at all costs. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to go outside, have some fun with some ducks and some farm animals, and just be grateful that I was cash. And have a good day, guys.